Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our latest Power Lunch and Learn. As you see, I'm Damon Scott, Chief Executive of Dumbartonshire Chamber of Commerce. This is our second Kickstart awareness session. So thank you so much for showing an interest. We are, along with Moiz, a gateway, as we're now known for the Kickstart scheme, and have partnered up with Moiz and Kickstart Scotland to deliver that for any businesses that are interested in coming via ourselves. And I guess there's a good footnote there in terms of businesses don't need to be in the area to use us as their gateway, because they'll have local contacts once they're on the scheme. So yeah, I'll we've not got a huge amount of time, so I'll pass across to Moiz to give us a wee insight to things and how it runs and how you can get involved. And there'll be an opportunity at the tail end to ask a few questions. And I'll also maybe share with you some of the additional resources you can actually access through the chamber at that point as well. Okay, thanks, Moiz. If I can hand over to yourself.
Thanks, Damon. Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you're all safe and well. I'm going to just share my screen very quickly. My name is Moiz Nurbhai. I am running the Kickstart Scotland. And as Damon says, I am one of the gateway partners with DWP and also with Dumbartonshire Chamber of Commerce. So I'm just going to run through very quickly the sort of scheme, some of the what's in it for you, for businesses, etc. And the biggest chunk I want to leave is for Q&A. So we should be finishing about sort of 15 minutes in terms of the presentation, and then the rest of the time we can you can hopefully fire me any questions and I'll be able to hopefully answer them for you. So without further ado, so what is the government Kickstart scheme? So it is the £2 billion the government has invested into young people and to get them into employment. And it's to cover for the business 100% of funding. So the relevant national minimum wage for 25 hours a week, their employers' national insurance contribution, and employers' minimum auto-enrollment pension contributions for 6 months. So that is, there's no wage cost for the business at all for that 6 months period. So it's open to all 16 to 24-year-olds who are on universal credit and at risk of long-term unemployment. And the good news is today that I am speaking to DWP, they are looking at broadening that out. So it's not just going to be those who are on long-term or at risk of long-term unemployment, but capturing all 16 to 24-year-olds that are just unemployed. But more details of that hopefully will come soon from them. So who can apply? So any organisation regardless of size can apply for the funding for Kickstart scheme, including sole traders. There's an asterisk there. There's some discussion that we've had today with DWP around the sole traders mark. So at the moment, they have said that they can apply, but may have to go through a slightly different method. So if you are a sole trader and you're wanting some further information, then just connect with me and we can have a discussion on how we can make that happen for you. But again, it's open, as I say, open to any business in any sector. The job placements must be creating new jobs effectively, that is for the Kickstart scheme. So it can't be replacing people who are so for instance on furlough and actually just going to make them redundant and then replace them with a Kickstarter. So you can't be doing that, or it can't be replacing any planned vacancies you might have had. And it also can't be creating people who are contractors within your business to lose their contracts with yourself. So it has to be in its own right vacancies for the Kickstart scheme. And as I said before, it covers 25 hours a week for 6 months, paying for wages, NI, and pension contributions. And the last requirement would be it shouldn't the individual shouldn't have to take or undertake extensive training. So what I mean by that, so the story I would give around that is, if the person was going to go into oil and gas industry, and they wanted to put people on the rigs, etc., then the amount of training that that person would have to go through wouldn't they wouldn't be able to get through this scheme. So it's for those businesses that are looking for maybe administration, social media support, marketing support, maybe assembly lines, those type of things, farm hands. That's the type of uh, jobs that this is open to. Funding, I've already talked about where the wages bit's covered. The additional funding that you get is £1,500 for each individual you take up. So that is for setup costs for the individual. So that could be paying for the uniform or a laptop if they're going to be working remotely, and also towards skills development. So one of the criterias um, within the scheme is what skills are you going to develop for this young person. So the blue sky scenario for all of this is that young person comes along, starts with yourself, and in 6 months' time, everything's worked out exceptionally well. You see growth in your business happening, that you want to keep this person on permanently. So that's a blue sky scenario, which will be ideal. However, we know that that may not be the case for everybody. So what they're looking for is, by the end of that 6 months time with the business, that at least they're walking away with something to put in their CV. So whether that is skills development from team working, communication skills, etc. And I'll cover some of those elements later. But must be something that they're walking away with if things don't work out. Um, some of the myths, so some of the bits and pieces that I've been asked about several times around it, and for small medium businesses. So do you need to take on 30 placements? And most people have said, oh, I can't join the scheme because I don't have 30 placements. The reason for the intermediaries, or now what we're called gateway partners, are in places to support those businesses that want to take on maybe 1 or 2 people. What we do is we bring people together. When we get to that 30 applications, we then apply on everyone's behalf as a group. So you can apply if you want to take on 1 person. You just have to go through a gateway partner to do that. So will you be allocated a young person? So the answer is simply no. You will be allowed to interview. So for 1 application, it's desired that you'll get at least 5 to 8 people put in front of you for an interview. So you as a business will be able to take on who you want to take on. If you've got through the 8 interviews, for instance, and still none of them are right for you, you can reject all 8 and you can get another batch of people to interview. So you can keep going through that cycle. But obviously, there might be a point in time where you might not be able to find somebody, which then you need to make the decision on whether this is the right thing for you. So would you be stuck with a young person if for the 6 months if things don't work out? Again, no. Each young person is allocated a work coach from the job centre, and they work with the young person through their time of being with you. To make sure things are going according to plan, they're developing skills that they should be developing, and if things are sort of coming to a head, that things aren't quite going to plan, the job coach will work with you as a business and will work with that young person to try and overcome whatever the concerns and issues you have. Now, uh, obviously, because it's in their best interest to try and keep that young person in employment. However, if it still doesn't work out, you are able to release that young person, and the work coach will organise that with you, and you can therefore reapply for another 6 months placement, but you'd have to go through the application process again if you want to reapply. So you can do that if you wanted to. The other question I get is what happens at the end of the 6 months. So if things have gone well and you want to keep them on, perfect. You just carry on as normal. They go onto your payroll, and you just continue as you would do as they're a normal employee. If you one of the things that I'm talking to businesses about, if things do go well, actually you might want to convert them into an apprenticeship scheme, so actually developing their skills more longer term with you. So that is an option that you can take up. And again, if at the end of 6 months it's not, things aren't haven't worked out, and actually going, this has been great, but it's time to end, then you can end that time with the young person if that's what you would like to do. So some bits of just good to know. So you will be allocated the £1,500 at the beginning of the placement. The wages, national insurance and pension contributions will be paid monthly to you. So the bit that I'm working with DWP at the moment is just to get that clarity, is that looks like that payment's going to come to your gateway partner. So for instance, myself, and then I pay either you as the business directly, and I'm working on a program at the moment whether we just pay pay the wages directly to the young person, but that's bits that I just need to work through at this present time. However, so in terms of how it's going to work at the moment is the wages come to me, I then pass that on to you, and you pay the individual directly on a monthly basis. First placements aren't due to begin at the moment, now has moved into December and more likely to be January, because December, obviously mid-December is Christmas, so it's more likely to going to be now January for the next intake. You as a business, if you wanted to pay more than the national minimum wage, or you want to offer more hours to the individual, you can do. However, the funding is only up to the national minimum wage of 25 hours, but you can pay more on top of that if you wish to. You can only get funding that the DWP, who the DWP introduced to you. So you can't go and find your own young person and go, this is a great person, I want to take this person on. Unfortunately, that can't happen. It has to be an introduction by the DWP. However, if the young person is on universal credit, and I know a few young person who have reached out to me saying they are on universal credit, and some businesses that have links to that young person, then there is a match up process that you can go through. So that is the young person talking to their work coach, going, the application's gone through, here's the job advert, can you just directly match that to that business? So that can happen if you wish for that to happen. Pay need to be set up on PAYE, and that's for the paying of wages, etc. And just things to think about is insurances, staff policy, recruitments, especially for those businesses that are small micro businesses that have maybe not recruited before. There are processes and policies you just need to have in place. And I've got one more slide that I'll show you around how we can support with those bits and pieces. And additionally, the DWP have other flexible support options or funding options to support with uniforms and transport. So we talked about that £1,500, that's what that can be used for, but the DWP do have additional funding as well to support you as a business to take on a young person if it needs to be. So how can we help you? So you can apply. It's free to apply through Kickstart Scotland. That's my website. I don't charge for any for your application. But we have teamed up with other small businesses to give HR, recruitment, onboarding support. We can support with employee relation activity if required. We also deliver skills development for the young person, such as social media, marketing, money management, etc. You see there, we've got over 26 different skill sessions that we can support the business with, if you wish. And also, if you're looking to go beyond the 6 months, we're teaming up with apprenticeship partners as well to support you as a business and that young person to kick off an apprenticeship scheme if that's where you would like to go. And we are looking at the options, as I sort of said earlier on, as acting as an employer to support sole traders, etc. And sort of all you then have to deal with is day-to-day management of the young person. But that's the bits that we're working through at the moment, and we'll give more information out in due course. And just the last piece, that from our packages perspective, our packages start from £250. So if you were going to use any of our services, however, as I say, application process is free, and you can just go through the application process and not take any of the packages, absolutely fine. I have got info where to apply, but what I'll do is I'll go to Q&A session, and then we can answer any of those questions in a bit more depth. Application process is relatively straightforward in terms of the information that's needed. But I'll flick over to the Q&A session, and we can go from there. So just stop sharing.
That's great. Thanks, Moiz. So yes, do please just pop your hand up physically if anyone's got any specific questions, or just jump in. There's a few people who've not got a video on at the moment, so if you can hear me, just there's a digital hand you can put up as well in the chat function, or sorry, in your chat function. So John, I can see your physical hand there, which is good. So on you go.
Yeah, Moiz, really interesting presentation. It's helpful getting some added information, even though I was on the first one, there's extra stuff, which is good. The potential of the wider scope of young people who may be available, like you said, it's in discussion at the moment. Do you anticipate that that will be resolved by January? So when it comes to anybody applying now, we'll have that wider opportunity, the wider network or range of potential clients or employees, sorry, that are in that age group that are on the scheme?
They're working on it, so I would expect them to come out with some sort of answer of that sort of by the end of November. They didn't give us a time frame on that, so I would expect, as the intakes come through for January, etc., as in the recruitment, the pool of people will be there. That's the wider group of people, because from understanding, the uptake has been very strong. So that's why they're looking at widening the pool.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else got any questions? Philip, go for it.
Yeah, just a quick one, Moiz. As you know, we've put in our application, but you mentioned about training. I mean, obviously the training, we are kind of an assembly line, so we would offer our own training and all that sort of stuff. So that is within the remit of it, and we can, as long as the training's all done in-house, then that's okay, yeah? Yeah,
absolutely. So you can do training in-house. Absolutely. You don't need to have an outside agency do that for you. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay.
I think it's just there. Obviously, some businesses are set up better than others to help provide that additional training, because at the end of the day, I think it's not just about getting a free member of staff. It's about providing them with skills and experience that they can help them. If they don't stay with you, can help them get a job at the end of it. So I think it's just taking that view, but some may not have. Christine, I see your hand up. I'll come to you in a second. Yeah, some may not have that experience and expertise, and also there's opportunities to obviously make them more employable in terms of potentially undertaking mock interviews, help with the CV, etc., above and beyond what you might do within the organisation itself, sort of thing. So that's where the wraparound support probably comes in more.
It's the longer term skills development, that's the key part for that young person, to putting, making sure that at the end of the 6 months, if things don't work out, as in you don't keep them on, that they can walk away with really good skills that they can go off and find more permanent employment, because that's the important thing for that young person. Great that you're getting an extra pair of hands, which is free in one respect, but there is that importance piece for the end result that they should be walking away with. Christine?
Yeah, my question is about effectively the length of time, because what I'm interested in with this is it's actually a project where I know that it will last maybe for a year and a half tops. So how does this relate to kind of if you're essentially bringing someone in for contract work, or is that an issue?
So in terms of the placements, they are you will contract them effectively. So if you want to contract them and you at the end of the 6 months, because they in theory become your employee effectively, you can contract them to be this is a temporary position and it will end in at that point of 12 months time. So in terms of your application process and your job spec, if you just define that at that point to say I'm looking to recruit X, this is the skills that I'm looking for, it's going to be a temporary, if everything works out well, it's a temporary employment for 18 months at that point, then that makes it nice and clear for that person when they're looking to go, yeah, I'm interested in that, then it makes it clear for them to actually go, yeah, okay, it's a temporary employment, hopefully beyond that 6 months everything's working out, that's going to be for 12 further months with you.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Good. Debbie, bring you in.
Sorry, just come off of mute. So if we were looking for, we're slightly different. If we were looking for over the 30, would you still be looking to stagger it potentially over the year? So like in clusters of 8, say every quarter. Yep. Would you still anticipate that we would get the quality or the number of people through to application? Like 5 to 8 referred from the job centres.
Yeah, so I suppose the question would be: are you just looking from just your area? It depends on the jobs that you're looking for to do, or can you pull in the pool from a wider area? What's the type of jobs are you looking for?
It'd be so it's a hotel, it's hospitality, so it would be like a waiting staff, housekeeping, front of house. So
I would say if you were to say today where it's just focusing on the high risk individuals, you'll probably find you'll get depleted quite quickly. But the fact that they're now looking at widening that out, I think you'll have that pool coming through naturally. So and because the requirement isn't so the person being on universal credit, for instance, there's no stipulation they have to be on universal credit for 2 months, for instance. Even if they're on for it one day and the work coach deems it as, okay, there's an issue here as in point today that there may be a long-term risk, they would automatically come into the scheme. So the control is within the work coaches in the job centres effectively to open and close how much of that pool it is. So if they are getting in Fife, for instance, a big population of recruiters and saying, look, we're looking to take people on, and they're depleted that first set of people, they can open that up personally themselves in that job centre to go, let's open it up to a wider group of people. So you should be fine over the longer term through that process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions before we sort of round that all up at all?
I'll quickly go through the 3 criteria if there's no other questions we're looking for in terms of application process. So the 3 things that I'll need from an application that's on the system is firstly your job spec. So what are the jobs that you're looking to do? So that's relatively nice and easy. The second part is confirming that you're not making anybody else redundant or furlough people redundant or contractors to lose their jobs. So that's that confirmation there. And the last element will be what skills are you looking to develop with that young person. It's just giving that explanation, whether that's using an outside agency or whether that is using internally, you're going to do that yourself, but what are the skills that you're going to develop with that young person. So they're the 3 main criteria that need to come into the application process.
And what I'll do is before we finish up is I will share. So yes, I mean, as I said, we are we're a gateway for any area, so you don't need to be in our area. The key bit is that your local DWP will work with you if you're looking to recruit from sort of the local area. I think it's worth pointing out as well at the moment, actually. if people are looking for job placements and experience, there may be the opportunity. I don't know how this works, Moiz, but obviously, some may well be, remote for the 6 months. So they could be anywhere in the UK in terms of the placement sort of thing. And, specific businesses may be quite, they might need to go across the whole of the UK to find someone who wants experience in that area, for instance. But that's maybe one of the positives out of this situation at the moment. And there's certain jobs that can be done remotely anyway. If you were in digital IT sort of thing, you may well find that it doesn't necessarily need to be in your own area.
Yeah, absolutely, Damien. And as you know, I mean, I'm supporting businesses from Aberdeen right down to Exeter. So even though I've got Scotland in my name, it doesn't really matter in terms of where you are. And I've probably got, I would say probably about 60% of businesses are looking for that remote role. So it's that marketing role, or it's the social media role, etc. What we're doing for those businesses, that there's a way we can switch on, widening that pool of people, so you don't have to take them on from your postcode area, as an example. So if you do find that actually I'm not finding the person that I need, you can go, well, okay, well, let's look at Birmingham. I don't know. You can widen that scope out if you needed to.
Christine, you had a question?
Yeah. So that person doesn't need to be from specifically your area. I take it they do need to be from the UK, though.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, they have to be UK. So they have to have I can't get my words out on that one. They have to be employable effectively. So they have to have, if they are in the UK, if they're come from abroad and for whatever reason they're on universal credit, the universal credit system would already have gone through, are you eligible to be on universal credit? So therefore UK citizenship, etc., etc. So that system has already given the qualification that person is ready for the workplace within the UK. So you don't have to worry about, am I going to get somebody? I have to worry about visas and all of that, because universal credit has already sorted that out before they've even reached your door.
So obviously it's UK government funding, so it's the idea is to support people who are in the UK for that. So no, that's good. So John, coming to you next.
Yeah, it's just the fact you said about remote and being distance between where you maybe want the employee and where you're based at. I take it the process of interviewing will probably be done online as well for the social distancing, but also for the geographical issues that may arise from where you feel you need the placement made.
Yeah, so interview process is down to the business, how they want to do it. So in terms of give you an example in terms of how I'm supporting a couple of businesses. They are looking for a filtering exercise, so they want us to do telephone interviews. So I'm setting up that telephone interview, doing that 15-minute telephone interview, and then basically sieving out the type of applicants that they want, and then that comes into allowing them to interview, and that can be however you want that to be. So whether you want to do that, it's a relaxed over a coffee, or whether that is a formal interview process that your business has. Again, we can support with talking that through if that's what you want, or if you've already got processes set up, then you follow the natural processes that you have within your businesses.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So any more before we sort of round things up? That's all there. As I said, we're here to get this just to give you an introduction and see if it's something you want to explore. And I've put my our Kickstart email in the chat, so ping me an email if you want to take it forward. There's no harm in sort of connecting with us and finding out more and putting an application in. See, because you'll need to get them in to see if they're successful as well. I think we're in the first tranche at the moment. I don't know what the feedback on the first tranche is at the moment, Moiz.
We're in tranche 3 at the moment.
All right, okay, sorry.
Yeah, so we're in tranche 3. Feedback at the moment, we're in the DWP's hands at the moment. So at this present time, everything is over to DWP. We're waiting on them doing their business checks, at which point we'll get a green light, we'll get a red light. So the green light will be, here's your businesses that are successful, and the next stage will be job specs. So the businesses will just need to supply those job specs. I'm working, Phil, hopefully you've got my email on that one, to go give us your job specs. So I've got them ready, and then that goes into DWP pot, and the red ones will be unsuccessful for whatever reason.
Okay.
They can reapply again, doesn't stop you from reapplying. We'll try and figure out why that was, that it got rejected, to be some reason behind it, but it can go back through the reprocess. And just to build on what you said, Damon, there's a business down south that is looking to take on 30 odd, and we've had discussions to go, look, you may not want to run that fast. Let's take on, we've said 14, to say let's start with that sort of number, or even less than that if you wanted. Test the water, see how it runs for you. If it's great, then you can just press the button and do more, or if you feel you're not getting the candidates through, then we probably need to think about, is there other recruitment options that we need to go through, and maybe Kickstart's not right for them. But there are methods of going through the process. So if you've got that question, as Damon said, reach out, let's have that discussion. I'd rather have that chat with you and give you the yes positive, rather than you going scratching my head, can I not? I'd rather have the chat.
Good. And sorry, I'm obviously not up to date after the last report. So how many have been successful in the first 2 tranches then?
Don't know yet. That we're just waiting on DWP.
Oh, sorry.
feedback.
No, sorry. That's what I meant.
Oh, sorry. Right. Okay.
First tranche that we're waiting for
waiting on
success rates for. So no, right. Okay. That's fine. So we haven't quite got to the stage where we can kind of feedback on who's got through and why they've got through and that sort of thing quite yet. So
not yet. No. Nobody's got through to it. No. As far as I'm aware, there's no gateway intermediary at the moment that's got to that next stage.
Okay.
So we're all in the same boat at this present time.
Cool. Okay. Well, like I said, I've put the the email there, and there's a page on the Chamber website that we'll share about Kickstart, and we'll share this. We're recording this, so we'll share this, and we've got Moiz's presentation as well from the first session that we ran. So I'll send a quick email out so you guys can refer to that and refresh your memory as well. One thing I will push for, be delighted if you guys came via us as the gateway, as it doesn't matter where you are. So, please do support us. One thing I was going to say in terms of Chamber membership, if anyone, you don't have to be in the area to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And if you can see my screen at the moment that I'm sharing, some businesses will find our membership for services an absolute godsend if they haven't got some of these processes in place. So the 4 services cover HR, which is obviously the key one for this, health and safety, but also tax and legal. So these are all built in to Chamber membership, which actually I was saying, Moiz, I'm sure we could find a way that that any of that 1,500 can be used for whatever way that the businesses would like to justify it, to support their activities. So this would be a very cost-effective way of getting access, particularly to some of that HR support. So it just to give you a quick overview, it gives you access to hundreds of documents, including employment contracts, and also in terms of above and beyond that, there are advice helplines available, as well as insurance cover for yourself. Some may actually still need the health and safety, and obviously there's a bit of a crossover between sort of legal and HR in terms of employment law as well. So I thought I would we decided we forgot about that actually in the first one, to focus on it, but I I think for some businesses in particular, that would be a really sort of valuable asset. So, and you don't need to, as I said, you don't need to be in the area to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So, well, if there's nothing else, John's
one final question. Yeah, just I took note. Moiz just said about the monthly payments. Sounds like it's going to go to the Gateway organisation to administer then to the businesses. The 1,500 to help set up, though, does that go straight to the business for that payment?
No, it still goes to the Gateway partner,
Gateway
and the
well, right.
Gateway partner just passes that on to the business.
Okay, so it's just, I wasn't quite sure from that, but that helps to know how to explain that.
Yeah, it would make it so much easier if they just did it direct to the business, wouldn't it? But there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
That's great. So one final thing, if you did want to save the chat for any reason, there's 3 buttons at the bottom of the chat with all the contact details and what have you, if you want that. But I will ping out a quick email just to give you signpost you to the items that I mentioned before as well. So yeah, if there's no more, then thank you so much for joining us for our latest Lunch and Learn, and we hope to hear from you, some of you soon. Okay, thanks. Bye for now.
Thank you.